Welcome everyone to our Franklin Economic Development Commission meeting. It is Monday, June 27th, 6:30 kickoff. That said, a little call to order. Alderman Barber.
Here.
Steve Bobowski here. Tim Wachter.
Here.
Barb Wesner.
Here.
Aaron?
Yep.
James.
Here.
And we also have the...
Here.
Aaron?
Yep.
James.
Here.
And we also have the mayor here with us. So, that said, if you all please stand and pledge allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right. By the way, thank you all for coming tonight. Appreciate that. And it's so nice to see smiling faces as part of our summer. And I don't know that it's not on our agenda, but as part of our summer. And I don't know that it's not on our agenda, but I would like to talk before we're done about some of the things that we do have going on in the, Franklin later, just for all of our folks.
We can do that.
Down here, somewhere in here.
We'll figure it out.
Yeah. All right. That said, citizens comment. Okay. A motion to keep moving on?
Hello.
Yeah, all right, gotcha. Approved, gotcha. All right, let's take a look at the minutes from May 23rd. Do I have a motion to approve? Motion.
Second.
Good. We'll move forward. All right, let's talk about our business appreciation dinner. And one of the things, it's really not too early to talk about that. A couple thoughts. Last year and in the past we've been doing it in October. Generally the 3rd. That still seem reasonable to all you guys?
What is that date? Do you know?
I don't right offhand. Or
Third what?
it's usually the 3rd Thursday in October.
So that would be the 20th.
Okay.
So if you can do it the 13th, that'd be better, but if it's 20th, I'll make arrangements on the plan commission.
If we did the 27th, as we get later and we get into everybody else's issue.
But if you're planning it now, just call Tuckaway and say we want it.
True. Well, what do you guys think?
I say 27th is fine.
27 works for you?
Mm-hmm.
All right.
Jim and Aaron, do you know what we're talking about? You don't.
I haven't been to one yet, but you mentioned it last time.
Appreciation to the businesses within Franklin. And I think we talked last time, it was about 120 people, give or take. 120, 150, depends.
It's a good turnout.
Yeah, it is a nice turnout.
Mm-hmm.
And it's a nice event. So, all right. You guys good on the 27th? Yes?
Mm-hmm.
We've had it tuck away. Seems to be a... and by the way, I like consistency in the sense that people kind of know where it's going to be, even if they don't. Oh, 27th, oh, it's a tuck away. I think we'll get more attendance than if we jockey it around. But that's my thought.
I agree.
Okay, so now we got that. So the 27th, tuck away. Got that. So the 27th, tuck away. I guess what we'll do is take a look at what we ordered last year in food and all that kind of stuff, and that shouldn't be all that difficult, if you will. And then the only other question insofar as speaker. Okay, that would be N-ish, and I guess I'd probably put that to the side. The other thing I'd like us to probably talk about is what categories we should be looking at. And I'm going to suggest we take a look at the ones we had last year. Maybe, and I'm going to add ones we had last year. Maybe, and I'm going to ask us to kind of write and put it in as kind of a follow-up for everybody is, or, so what we did, or suggestions. And perhaps we can come to an agreement about that next session, okay? One of the things about our program when we've had it in the past based upon the various different categories, we went out and actually talked to the potentials. Okay, now we open it up to the public as well as the group here to give recommendations. And I would say come prepared next month with some suggestions, because it's not that far off, back 3 years ago, or 4. Yeah, and we really kind of talked to each of them what they had done, why they were deserving of that recognition and award. We then came back and shared that with the group, and from there,
We divvied up the list
yeah,
amongst ourselves. And
yeah,
I gotta say it. You wanna have awards or not?
yeah, okay. So we can talk about that too. So what we've done, change, and change could also include or not. Okay. That said, if we do, I would like us to go back and knock on some doors and say hi to people.
I agree with that.
Because I do think this is kind of an appreciation. City of Franklin recognize you. Even if they don't get an award, they got some sort of appreciation.
Right.
And then when we did announce their name, they felt like they were at least heard. So that would be part of our next month's discussion. Who's in, and then how we would divvy them up if we're going to do that or not. Okay.
Or we could make
We would divvy them up if we're going to do that or not. Okay.
or we could make we could all go around and do personal invitations.
Tell me more.
If we didn't want to do awards, go around, introduce ourselves, and invite them as maybe a bunch of as we get nominations. As we get nominations, go out and do an outreach to them personally from economic development.
So who would do the nominations? Just at large people?
No, you just list the names.
Yeah.
And you just go invite them in person rather than
A list,
talk to them
I mean, a
about.
list.
Just go invite them in person rather than
A list,
talk to them
a
about
list
an
of
award.
businesses.
Mm-hmm.
Because we can take a look at the last couple of years'
Yeah.
list and see who jumps out that's not there, and go visit those people.
Okay.
Because John's itching to go out and call on people. I know
Well-
you like to. I mean,
I do it every 3 years.
Yeah, you do. And you work like feverish too.
but there were people that were not there that were conspicuous in their
Right.
absence, right? But there's people that, where is? I
Yeah.
don't see anybody from Karma here. I don't pick a.
Okay. Is that a list that John has?
I'm
But
sure in the
again-
files
List
there's.
of businesses, sure.
Well,
Okay.
businesses that came, and then those who, well,
Yeah.
obviously anybody
Yeah.
who wasn't on the
Yeah,
list.
there's an invitation list. I
Okay.
was just looking, there's an invitation list in the files.
So next,
And attendees.
yeah, if you got that, maybe you could send that ahead of time to every coming, and perhaps we can make it a little bit of a quicker.
Is there a criteria for who makes the invitation list?
Well, that's kind of part of the discussion, which is last year we had, I think it was 4 categories, 5.
Okay.
The outstanding, big, small, innovation award, a mayor's choice award, something like that. But I forget exactly what it was.
But I think Jim, your question is who makes the invitation list?
Just the invitation, not even the nomination.
Yeah, I think Callie just took a list of the businesses in the city she got from either the library or from Steve,
Yeah,
and just sent them to all. She got from either the library or from Steve,
yeah.
and just sent them to all of them.
Okay.
Without an award, though, I kind of like also the idea of recognizing a group of 5 new businesses that are in town, or 5 larger businesses that have been serving the community, just as a recognition, not necessarily larger businesses that have been serving the community, just as a recognition, not necessarily an award, but just something to say these are the new businesses
Yeah.
that come in
Yep.
and do a recognition piece without doing the other side of it.
To that, I think that's a great idea, which says, I don't know that we should limit
The other
it.
side of it.
To that, I think that's a great idea, which says, I don't know that we should limit it to 5. I mean,
No.
how many new businesses will we have this year, Steve?
Oh.
Do you think? 20? 30?
50?
50? So we can still throw it up on a slide.
Yeah. Oh yeah, sure.
I do think that there's something about that.
John, if you newsletters, every newsletter has a list of the new businesses.
Okay.
Now you and I should go through that because
Some
it's
of them,
kind of accurate.
some of them didn't make it.
Right.
Well, yeah, we had COVID.
But
the way-
that's a way of maybe
But, yeah.
focusing on who we want to, recognition of our businesses.
Sure. And let's stay with that because the list I got with help of the library, and we put together a list, Cougars, etc. Maybe, John, as you go through our various lists, if we can enhance that, make it better, whatever, I think we should invite them all business in Franklin that shouldn't get invited, because that's what it is some sort of recognition.
I would still hold out for maybe if there's an outstanding, a special recognition, if there's something that stands out as being an extraordinary business in Franklin or something in that order that we can name through, and just as a symbolic, but that's up to the group.
Right. So again, we're going to talk about should we do the same, different, whatever, that kind of stuff. Get us a list, because that's a different issue, which is how, again, can we get us 120 or 130, 150? That I think would, because the more, the better.
Yeah.
50. That I think would, because the more, the better.
Yeah.
To a program like that. And then the other thing is, do we have a keynote speaker, which I would recommend that we do.
I think you got to.
What
Yeah.
about Bobowski? Is he available?
Yeah, I don't know. We want
We've
to
heard enough
attract
of that
them. We
guy.
want to attract them. Okay. Yeah, I don't know. We want
We've
to
heard enough of
attract
that
them. We
guy.
want to attract them. Okay.
We've heard so much of that guy.
Yeah. Right. Ooh. Thank you. But so that would be those kinds of things. Anything else that we can do pre-homework here? Things that you perhaps seen in other homework here. Things that you perhaps seen in other, and I'll call them, business type dinners. I've gone to the Waukesha Business Alliance. It was a recognition dinner for theirs. Haven't done.
How many categories do they have?
Yeah, and in fact, I think I borrowed from them some of the categories that we had in the past. It's like, why reinvent the wheel? But it's not surprising. Those were the ones we'd had go back 5 or 6 years ago. Not all that dissimilar from that kind of stuff. Again, we can take that, but I guess it's real simple to do is go on, groups that have had them in the past and see if we like them, don't like them. There's been things like the best grounds, if you will, well, that's interesting, but
Are the categories maybe some thought around, is there good marketing value for the company? If they want it, would they display it? Would they use it in order to attract more business with it?
they all do to some degree. I think those that have won it have been very proud of it.
Right.
And so to that standpoint, yeah.
I won last year. I was at my front door. And
Yeah.
people walk in and they see it.
Absolutely.
Oh,
And that's been basically the case with all those that have won over the years. It's just take and enhance it. So to your point, perhaps we could actually come up with some sort of little badge that they could put into their company website, that kind of deal.
Yeah.
Might be another little token. And I'm just being selfish for us, okay, which is if they go to somebody's website and, whoa, City of Franklin, I didn't know they were.
And link from the back.
I'm losing this battle, but how is this different than what the chamber does?
No awards,
it's-
just kind of
it's
like
not.
recognition.
Well, I'm saying that awards, we haven't killed that out. The fact is, I think we do it better. Because this is a Franklin event. The other is kind of spread over many. We didn't get the big businesses over in the chamber. Not in general. So we had them as a category. But again, this is a Franklin set deal, which would be one of the
Category
differences.
possibility, we talk about new businesses. What about businesses that have expanded in Franklin
Absolutely.
as a special category? But that would be.
That would make me more happy than best landscaping. I mean,
Yeah.
I'm just
We didn't do landscaping.
I'm just using it. I'm just
Yeah.
using it, right?
I got it.
Uh,
No, but I do think, and then we talk about people who've done, contributed to the community.
Yeah.
And recognition for those kinds of organizations to the community.
Yeah.
And recognition for those kinds of organizations too.
The problem I have with awards here in the city of Franklin, Mike Zimmerman's going to get them because he's the one that's doing the most visible and impactful developments that the consumer sees, as opposed to what's happening in the undercurrents. I mean,
Yeah.
if we were going to give out awards, the company that ought to get the award is Vanguard Development, because they're going to put up almost 1 million square feet of Vanguard Development. Because they're going to put up almost 1 million square feet of industrial spec building in the next 18 months. They ought to get the award.
That takes up 2 years.
Well, but we've also, though, said to an extent, we limited it to you couldn't win but once every 5 years or whatever we had. as one of our criteria too. Then you got Zimmerman, but he's out of the game. No harm, no foul. He doesn't feel bad that he didn't get it, because guess what? You can't. And part of our mission, I think, is to expand and get more inclusion as opposed to less. But we could talk about some of those kinds of things as well.
Yeah, well, let me do it this way. Remember what our job is. Our job is to, and in order to do that, we have to maximize our efforts, which is the largest value business to the city of Franklin. So I just urge us to keep that in mind. The chamber is a chamber, and the Economic Development Commission is the Economic Development Commission.
Mm-hmm.
Sorry, Steve. The church we argue
Oh,
about.
here we do.
He's 4 sections over yelling at me. It's like,
Yeah,
I stopped going to church.
because of that.
but I think we're going to follow.
Yeah,
our-
I think, but okay, so that said, anything else from a standpoint of the
Well,
business
Actually
appreciation?
not, sorry, we're not a foul.
Mm-mm.
Options for next week?
Yeah. That's what we should do. And again, if we can get some lists and then what we've done in the past, and I'll also pull what some of other business
We could honor,
economic development commissions have done.
we could honor The Rock by making someone a keynote speaker.
We've done that, whatever it was.
Free, yeah.
No, not great. And so we actually ended up doing it as a question and answer kind of thing. But-
You hit it out of the park with Bill Mitchell.
So that would be one of those things we take a look at, and if you will. Okay, anything else on the business appreciation dinner? All right, let's talk about the South Suburban Chamber of Commerce update. I didn't make the meeting this month. Tim, were you there?
For the chamber, for the board meeting?
No, just the chamber in general.
Oh, yeah, I was
Yeah.
at the breakfast, yeah, both
Yeah,
of us were.
we were
yeah,
there.
Actually,
Yeah, where was it at?
Hilton Garden Inn,
Right.
by the airport.
Yeah.
They do a great job over there, and,
Mhm.
there's enough room, and,
Yeah.
like I said, they had excellent attendance. So
Yeah.
when I counted, it was pushing 40 people.
Yeah.
So, I mean, on the 40 people.
Yeah.
So, I mean, and the gal that talked, was from Carroll College, and I thought, to be quite frank with you, she was spot on in terms of the labor issues and what they're trying to do. The labor issues and what they're trying to do to address them, and it's like I was pretty impressed as far as the things that they have in mind for educating people, getting people into the workforce. I mean, I don't give a damn what they say about others. I mean, I don't give a damn what they say about other things, but that's one of the biggest issues this country faces is with lack of workforce.
Yeah.
So,
No, you're right.
I
Mhm.
mean,
Mm-hmm. Gotcha. Aaron, anything else you thought about that?
No, I've heard all that stuff.
Anything else you thought about that?
No, I've heard all that stuff for years and years and years. So,
Yeah.
nothing new.
Well, right, and that is kind of, and you said that the speaker was from Carroll College?
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's
They
their
should just
job.
talk about, like I said, how they were offering.
And that's
They
their
should just
job.
talk about, like I said, how they were offering different. They have a different approach to getting people trained and getting people, getting them a degree and so forth.
Mhm.
So, I was impressed. So,
Good. Did they also talk about internship?
I was impressed. So,
Good. Did they also talk about internships and things along that line?
yeah, partnerships. They refer to them as
Okay, gotcha. One reason I say that is Franklin High School is doing a nice job getting their students into internships, so that they get hands-on experience. So in any case, that would be one of those things that I think is a plus that our guys are doing a nice job on.
Is, I saw an announcement for the golf outing that's coming up. Is this the first year for that, or is this, do they?
And in combination with Muskego,
Yeah, Mosquito Lakes.
yeah, at Muskego
Well,
Lake. But I
also
think this
Muskego
is solo
Chamber.
this year, right?
Oh, with the chamber.
Yeah.
sounded like
Yeah,
that.
they didn't come up.
Yeah, I'm not either. But the reason for that was Muskego wanted to do their own thing, as opposed to in combination with to South Suburban. Going to help the chamber. We should probably talk it up a little bit, because in the past it was probably a 70-30 Muskego, 30% South Suburban.
That's because our business owners are busy doing business. rather than
Absolutely.
playing golf.
That's right. They don't have time to do the golf, if you will. So, in any case, but it's probably, if we just talk about it a little bit, even at the consortium, those meetings to talk about them would probably get some interest. Anyhow, so we might think about how we can. But that was like October, wasn't it?
I'd like to
Yeah,
challenge the mayor
It's
to,
October.
Is that?
Yeah. Yeah, it was late. I mean, but enough time.
September. It's September.
I only do the
It's
turn.
September. It's a good event to meet business people in Franklin at. From the sounds of it, it's mostly Muskego people.
No, I'd rather have you go to the Muskego one and get some of their businesses here.
Okay, that works. That works. Okay.
That's not to say, though, we couldn't get more Franklin people there. I just don't think it was one of those kinds of, focus and opportunities.
Yeah, I'm just trying to be shrewd with my dollars. I can go back up and get my request off of Chris's desk if it's not that good a venue.
It's a good venue. Yeah. Besides, it's a nice golf course and nice people. So,
Where's it at?
Muskego Lakes.
Oh, it is that.
Yeah.
Interesting. Okay.
see their new condos.
Yeah. Bunch of nice little condos.
Shortened golf course.
Yeah.
Well, if I go out, they're going to age.
All right, let's keep going. Overview of the Franklin Business Park. Who's got that? Is that you?
That's me. I
All right.
think. This stems from last.
Yep.
He said, we
What's
really ought to
happening?
talk about the history a little bit, and how we got to where we're at, and that kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm going to do this kind of quick. So the first business park in the city of Franklin.
Look at you scrolling around. Ooh. Look at you scrolling around. Ooh.
Was on Forest Home up here. Wait a minute. This area here. This is Fisco Auto area here. This is Fisco Auto Body. You'll know it by Fisco Auto Body, Bart's Flooring, that kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
But that area there is in the 1960s and 70s was the first industrial park for the city of Franklin. It exists today. Those are all active businesses. City of Franklin. It exists today. Those are all active businesses. But to smile a little bit, the gray building at the bottom, the kind of L-shaped building, is the former Experimental Aircraft Association.
Yeah.
Really?
Yes. So, and several other active businesses. It's divided up into a flex building.
So that was the EAA.
That was the EA.
Oh, wow.
And the business to the north are pretty industrial. That's zoned M1, which is the heavy industrial zoning. Pretty much anything goes up there. City has left them alone. Nobody goes visits them. I think Stan Kosmatka was the first person to visit, or the last person to visit them, probably in 2002. Nobody goes up there. They don't ask for anything. They don't, it's just they're there, right?
Mm.
And I feel bad in saying that, but
Is there
Which-
any, like empty, buildings, or is it all?
no, they're all used.
Okay.
Because they're all inexpensive.
Yep.
I hate this. Damn apple. All right, how do I get rid of that?
I don't know, but it looks pretty good.
Okay. So in the late 1960s, very late 1969 or so, then Mayor Ted Fedro said, well, we're doing pretty good up on the northwest side. We need an area of our own for Big Teddy, who some of us affectionately call him, went out and met with a farmer and said, we need a business park. This was Teddy Fedro days, where you did what you did, and then we'll figure it out. And negotiated 80 acres from a farmer for X number of dollars, shook on it, and if you ever shook Teddy Fedro's hand, you'd know it. And that became the Franklin Industrial Park. From the detention basin roughly that area. That was the first industrial park in the city of Franklin.
Mhm.
There too, pretty much anything went for the longest time before the Industrial Development Commission said, well, we should put some standards on this. That area was not TIFed. Said, well, we should put some standards on this. That area was not TIFed. They paid for the city paid for the land cash outright. So the Industrial Development Commission started putting standards on it. But if you go there now, you'll still see that some of those buildings. Pretty Wild West. And I'm not going to name names because that wouldn't be right?
Right.
So that was successful. The industrial park was very successful. In the industrial park was very successful. In the mid to early 80s, became apparent that we needed to expand it. So that's when the Industrial Development Commission became the Economic Development Commission. And bought and organized PDD 7. You'll hear that next month. Planned Development District 7, which outlined the uses, the types of buildings, the setbacks, requirements like that. That's when the new industrial park, not business park, industrial park, was developed. Roughly 60th Street to Oakwood, developed. Roughly 60th Street to Oakwood, roughly to 56th Street. See where Franklin Drive, you see where Franklin is? See where the A is? See that one parcel on the south side? That's roughly the old industrial park. That was developed by the Franklin Economic Development Commission. No CDA. No common council, very little common council involvement. The Economic Development Commission acted as the property owner. So when offers to purchase were made, they were made to the Franklin Economic Development Commission, and the chairman at the time, I was the chairman for a period of time and signed a lot of purchase contracts. My predecessor, Brad Bauman, all of those were purchased based on economic development. Successful. That park sold out in 11 years. That was a TIF, by the way. That sold out in 11 years on a 23-year TIF. That's pretty darn good. Today, it's sold out. There is no industrial park land left. Okay. Mid-late 80s, running down to 4 or 5 parcels left in the industrial park. We need to do something else. That's when a group of the economic, and I want to say this quietly and specifically, a group of the Economic Development Commission said, we need more land for industrial development. Let's go figure this out. They came up with a proposal to hire an economic development consultant, a company called PHH Fantas. They got the common council to appropriate the money for the study, and they got the study done that determined that the city needed to do 420 acres, everything to the east. Take that line and move east. Take that line and move east. And what type of businesses were likely to locate here? What kind of revenue? What kind of building types? That kind of thing. The study is that thick. I got to find it. I may still have it at home. But an economic development study that's that thick. But that was for just that area. So they went and did the study, and it said it'd be financially viable. So that group it was a subcommittee really of the Economic Development Commission, said, okay, so how do we finance this? That was just after the TIF districts, tax incremental financing. And the requirements in it was, if you are going to do a development such as this, which was, we termed it a redevelopment, that you needed to run it through a community development authority and give them the authority. Yeah, that's what we call it.
Did you have to do that, or you did it because, what was the value of doing it?
Well, you don't have to do it, but it was a requirement on a redevelopment district.
Okay.
See, we can talk about all that too. But it was a requirement on a redevelopment district. But frankly, honestly, the EDC said, we got to make this apolitical. Keep the politics out of it, keep the politicians out of it. We got to do this professionally and with some skill. That's why they wanted to get it into a community development authority as a redevelopment district, so that without influence from politicians. And I thought that was a stroke of genius. But anyway.
Sure.
So this park was designed in 1990, 91, and that's everything Franklin Drive and East, 56th Street and East. 1996, who for most of the run had exclusive sales for the park. But there's a bunch of smart guys on that CDA. I was not on the CDA, just so everybody knows. They said, we need to start generating revenue day one. Certain developers, and they opened it up. I mean, anybody who wanted to offer an RFP could, but they talked to several developers, and they came and interviewed several of them, and they sold the land to a developer, MLG at the time, Moon Osage Group. The thought process there was, we get immediate tax, we get money right on the tax rolls immediately, regardless of the sales of the land, and we make a developer have skin in the game, so that they want value too. Developer have skin in the game, so that they want value too. The land was sold for market value, developed market value, as I recall. But there was a minimum assessed value requirement placed on it by the CDA, which is what we do today here, is we have a minimum assessed value if it's in a TIF district, to guarantee the value. So it went okay the first couple of years. There were a couple of buildings. Put up, but then 19. Let me get the dates right. 94, 95 came. The state said, we're going to take the school tax off in a TIF. Well, let me just say that decimated our TIF schedules and our revenues projections to pay back the $23 million in infrastructure costs, right? So that just devastated it. The CDA got together and said, okay, we can handle this. The CDA members started calling businesses. And they decided that we're going to incent the land versus property value guarantees. We're going to increase the property value guarantees and give away the land, because the land's been paid for. So they did that. Right out of the gate, and came in, then that kick-started Baptista's, well, at the time, Gardetto's. John Gardetto, the granddad, was drinking buddies with one of the CDA members. CDA member at Milwaukee Athletic Club having cocktails, saying, John, you need to expand your business. John turns and says, yeah, I've been thinking about it. Bingo, bango, boop. It's that building right in the bottom corner, right above Oakwood, which is now Campbell Soups. Similarly, Harley Davidson, there was some rumblings. Somebody heard something at the golf club or whatever, and one of the members says, I'll call them. 2 days later, there's a meeting downtown. 2 days later, there's a meeting downtown. We get Harley Davidson's distribution facility. That's how that business park happened. Then the momentum was ours.
Right.
This is claimed to be, mostly by me and other people, that this is the most successful in terms of increment business park TIF in the state. The original land cost was something like 20 million bucks. Today's assessed value is 160 million. So that's a pretty good ratio. There is a couple of parcels of land still available. This is an old map. 4909 is available, and the parcel next to it, 5225, is not available. There's a cash counting machine in there. So these are the only two parcels left. So if you know anybody, there you go. S&C Electric took this parcel. They're here. So that's gone. This and lady are going to have a conversation on this one next month. An expansion on that parcel. But let's digress for a second real quick.
When you're saying that one, it's the, we're just underneath, you're saying that one, it's the, we're just underneath the
This
lift
one.
station, yeah, okay.
Mhm.
Got it.
But there's also going to be a conversation on another
the
one.
lift station they just did.
Yeah.
2 years ago or a year ago.
Another
the
one.
lift station they just did.
Yeah.
2 years ago or a year ago.
It's still being built right now. Yeah. There's another one coming up. But what I want to point out to you folks is if you look at this, do you see any outdoor storage?
No,
That was one of the big requirements.
no.
That was one of the big requirements. There was two big requirements, aside from architecture. One was loading docks can't be visible from the main street. Wanted to have it a little more upscale, right? And no outside storage. You don't see outside storage. This is parking lot. So that's going to be a topic of conversation for you guys. Now, that was when the park was being built. Obviously, times change, situations change, whatever. But now you will find outside storage, very isolated circumstances. But this is the industrial park phase one. This is the original industrial park. This, by the way, is Crohn's. And that's why you see this. This is Ken Doro's, this whole block.
Yeah.
Old business park, no requirements like that. Okay, so there's that. So then Mayor Steve gets in office. There's been essentially no industrial development. And when I say industrial, it's corporate, non-retail development, other than one-offs. Got next to no room in this park. So we got to build something. We did a study in 1999, by Thomas Tickner and Associates, similar to PHH Fantas study. The goal was to tell the city where are the locations that are currently zoned or planned zoned for non-residential development that are most likely to succeed in attracting business, and what business might that be? Instead of us saying we want to put an industrial park here, a study of 11 different locations came back with a recommendation for 5. We subsequently took those 5 and did more in-depth dive engineering studies. One of those was what we called Area C, Northwestern Mutual. This was originally studied and recommended as a commercial park, primarily office and mixed use. So that's what that was supposed to be on both sides of 31st Street. NM took that, right? So that one's essentially gone. NM took that, right? So that one's essentially gone. Another parcel down here, you're going down 27th Street. That's Oakwood Golf Course. In 2005, Wheaton Franciscans bought this whole parcel here, or all of these parcels actually. This was originally proposed to be a USF Holland terminal where the hospital is, and there was no proposals for where the physician's office and what used to be the doctor in a box. But that was going to be a truck terminal, and that got turned down. And the study done by Tickner recommended this area, what we call area D, as the best opportunity for industrial, non-residential, non-retail development in the city and in Milwaukee County, based on the fact of its proximity to I-94. So this sat on a shelf until 2015. Okay, so this was Area D. We'll come back to that. Over here on the other end of the city, we'll come back to that. Over here on the other end of the city, specifically right here, this area was called Area G in the Tickner report. And this area was designated as a future industrial park. We differentiate industrial, business, corporate park. Your head differentiates them. That's how we differentiate them, right? This was designated as Area G and a holding area for future development of an industrial park. Lesser uses of a valuable nature. Contractors who needed an office and a yard, that kind of stuff. So this is Monarch Drive is where the Strauss facility was going to go, and Copart is. There is opportunity. This is, the bottom part of this is the new RISE development, which is essentially incubators for smaller companies. It is what I just described to you. A contractor needing or a shared use office and a whole bunch of storage space or a shop. There'll be, Mike, I don't remember, a whole bunch of buildings down there. And you can rent a building or half a building or something like that. So that's going on this parcel.
Yeah, they're basically condos for businesses.
Yeah, industrial users. Yeah. Well, and businesses too, yeah. So that's happening.
How fast is that happening?
They're going to break ground here in a month or so.
Okay.
So there's that happening. One thing I'll point out to this, and we're going to have a conversation, I don't know if it's tonight. Yes, we are going to have a conversation in a little bit about it, but the Continental Divide runs roughly where you see Loomis Court there? Roughly where the L is, it comes and hits, it hits the property line where it hits the city line and kind of meanders a little bit and goes to over where the O is on Oakwood. So everything to the west of that goes to the Mississippi. Everything to the east goes to Lake Michigan. East can't meet west. But we're going to talk about that in a little bit. Okay, so this is Area G. Area G is being developed. And this all was studied as Area A. And Area A has always been retail and entertainment. And what do we have today? Now, I will fill you in on this one a little bit. This group of parcels on the east side of 76, the old Orchard Shopping Center, it's been sold. It's now in the hands of Mike Zimmerman and a couple of investment partners. It will be redeveloped. The parcel immediately to the west of the Mike Zimmerman. The parcel even farther to the east on the west side, wait a minute, east on the south side, has been sold to Mike Zimmerman. We have an issue with the parcel next to McDonald's. That has not been sold to Mike Zimmerman.
That's a home, right? Fruit stand.
So until we solve that one, it's not gonna move forward very fast, but
So
the designs are getting ready.
So Zimmerman has the shopping center plus the Walgreens and McDonald's and the bank.
Walgreens, McDonald's, and the bank are all separate properties.
When did that happen?
Daycare is us, the daycare,
Yeah, that's,
that part of it.
Yeah. So that's very exciting, and I wanna get you guys involved in it.
Does he have the parcel then behind with the dentistry there?
All the way down to the.
All the way down? That whole square there?
Sorry?
That whole back there?
Yep. Yep, so we'll get you involved in that.
Are the owners of that house also the owners of the property to the east and south? Are those different owners?
This was, well, as you can see here, the family, this is Brian and
Okay.
Steve.
Uh-huh.
That's what's still available, or still,
This is Brian.
but he sold that.
That parcel, I believe, is sold, yes. Here's Brian and Steve and Dawn. This parcel's, you know, so there's still some assemblage that needs to happen, but this parcel, this parcel, this parcel are part of this parcel.
Okay.
Of this parcel.
Okay.
So that's gonna happen. Also, we've been talking for years about what to do about this. What a pain. You notice that starting at, you see Loomis Road there, this underneath Ballpark Drive. The off-ramp starts actually where the D is behind it, where you can't see Loomis, right?
Yeah.
So, stay ramp.
Oh.
So how do you get access to this parcel?
Did you have to start farther south
I'm behind Pickenside.
or behind Pig's?
Way down.
Can you get
See where the word Loomis is in the curve and the street cut? That's it, baby. But it's been sold.
You can or can't get an exception for that, and
You
exit on an exit.
You can't get an exception for that.
Okay.
So that piece has been sold?
I believe it's public that it's been sold.
Okay.
This whole piece right here?
Yep. You're aware of it.
Especially-
See that big oval in the middle?
Yeah.
So,
Wetland.
Mm.
So it's gonna need some creative development. So, okay, so, and then you all know about this guy. I will tell you that on this parcel here, there will be a, Mike, correct me, 40 room boutique suite hotel. Groundbreaking will be next month, probably.
And then
On this parcel, plans are being prepared right now for a mixed-use building, 74 apartments or something like that. Now for a mixed-use building, 74 apartments or something like that, and first floor retail commercial. That's coming quickly. You know about Lux right here. That should be open by the middle of August. And then, open by the middle of August. And then,
with a restaurant and a bar.
2 restaurants. Sorry, Mike, I don't mean to correct you like that, but
2 restaurants.
7, yes, there's a hot dog place
Oh, okay.
and an Italian pizza place.
Yeah, I was thinking this is-
7016 will be, 7016 will be, Rock and Pickle, which will be, mixed use. It'll be a pickleball facility, a, beer garden in essence, a brew pub. Mike, what am I missing? And a entertainment venue. And then in the wintertime, they'll take the pickleball courts and make them ice rink, which we need in the city. So that's that. That's happening. There
Is
was
that where that atrium bar kind of thing is gonna go?
yes,
Right in
because there was an issue with this particular mines. There's a low pressure methane pipeline that goes past that facility, past that property line, but it juts into the property. And 4 years ago they said, yeah, you can move it. This year they said, no, you can't. This will stay open. 68 becomes a dual branded choice. I think it's a choice, right, Mike? That level of hotel and that level of suite hotel. So if you think about the markets served, that hotel will serve the Little League and the league play and that kind of thing.
families.
And this guy will serve the milkmen, visitors, and this guy won't serve any of that because it'll be too expensive. But this will be where we'll bring our families and relatives when they come to visit. This will be a baseball themed. Relatives when they come to visit. This will be a baseball themed. Okay, so that's area A in terms of the Tickner report. Tickner studied this area. This is 51st Street and Rawson. Studied this area. I think this is area H. Recommended it for low impact retail and service. That's what we got. So there's that.
You know where the storage unit
Yeah, next door there.
is? So, is that, I can't remember. I live right there and I can't remember.
Fox.
Is next to it is that the dental, or not?
Dental office.
Yeah, the dental
This is W Brothers Trucking right here.
Yeah, okay, there we go.
This is the dental office. This was supposed to be supported because they thought it'd be nice, but never ever believed it would happen. You can't put retail back off. Well, you can see the footprint of the planned buildings. It's like,
Oh,
you know. So anyway,
There was gonna be a theater type place back there as well, wasn't there?
that was no money.
Okay. I know.
I don't know how to politely say that any other way. Okay, so there's that and that. Rawson Avenue 27th Street was studied. It is what it is.
I think they limited it because of all the crap that Fadro's brother buried.
Sorry, Fadro's brother buried what?
Thousands of gallons
Of whatever
crap
people brought in a drum.
in a
Really?
drum.
It's a super.
Out,
It's one of the few Superfund sites in the state of Wisconsin.
Oh,
It's
Still-
capped,
still
but
there?
yeah. The site has been cleaned, but it's still, again, humans can't have it on top of it.
Is that where the proposed dog park is going to be?
That's where the dog park was supposed to be.
And they didn't because they're not okay for dogs either.
It's just fine for dogs, but you need a business plan. You need to show how you're gonna pay for it.
Yeah.
It's wanting to know if they could put a storage facility on top of it.
And you said?
No.
I said we would strongly consider other more valuable uses. Okay, so that is that. There's that. Talked about. Okay, so let's go back down to the business park. I'll do this one. This one, Northwestern Mutual was area C in the plan. We did not anticipate putting apartments in there, but this turned out, my political position is we cannot deny, my political position is we cannot deny the need for housing for employees. We can't continue to attract large manufacturers and large businesses who need quality employees and not provide housing appropriate to the jobs that are being funded. Employees and not provide housing appropriate to the jobs that are being funded. Statesman apartments. This was also in a TIF. We defeased this TIF last year to no fanfare. That put about $140 million. That put about $140 million on the tax rolls in terms of assessed value. If you think about it, that's a lot of extra spending that the city can do now. Half of that is going to the taxpayers, half of it goes to the levy. That's so that's, well, let's just say $70 million impacting your tax bill at all. That's the purpose of TIF districts. Okay, so there's that. No conversations lately with NM on filling that empty spot. Just full disclosure, even though it's on the record. Some conversations about, and this parcel, John and I don't share much optimism on that, right?
Well, why not? Just because they're not.
They're not organized.
And there's stuff. That's a confidential discussion.
31st, 35th, some of the land.
Yes, but that's a stormwater management pond kind of thing. I hate this. They're building a stormwater management pond on these two parcels. Oh, on these two parcels.
Oh, that's all that's going on there.
And there is a proposal here for a, Mike, 20 some odd unit apartment building that's not getting good reception. Okay, so back down here.
Could I ask a question about that?
Sure.
Does St. James plan to still use the property to the, to the west? To still use the property to the, to the west? Yeah, I understand there were apartments that were kind of looked at for right off of 27th Street.
No.
On the St. James property, right?
Mm-mm.
No, they want to get
They're
rid
on
of
31st Street.
31st.
You're right, but with the wrong street.
Oh, I see. Okay. 31st.
You're right, but with the wrong street.
Oh, I see. Okay.
The St. James isn't going to use it on the other side.
Oh, I see.
See,
Okay. So
this
they're
is St.
going
James.
31st.
Okay.
Got it.
They also own and owned this parcel.
Oh,
But this parcel is no use to the church,
right,
as the pastor told me. But this parcel is no use to the church,
right.
as the pastor told me as he was screaming at me today. They want to sell it in the worst way.
Mhm.
This is the parcel that we have a concept for two apartment buildings. Have a concept for two apartment buildings.
Three.
Or three. Yeah, three, sorry.
Well, what about the two parcels to the north of it? Because isn't it really being, that used to be where that,
The hospital.
These two?
yeah, isn't it the, yeah, there used to be that greenhouse or, yeah, there used to be that greenhouse or whatever.
Yeah,
Oh, yeah.
well, here's the deal. Here's the reality in land sales. The developer bought that parcel, or has an option on that parcel. That's the one he wants to develop, so that's what we talk about, you know. So, all right, back down here.
Can I just throw out one of the things that came up at council, with the council discussion was, what kind of housing do we want in Franklin? And it had to do with some lower income housing.
There's 11 units, it's 46 units, and $600 to $800 a month.
The question came up at council, is that the kind of housing we want? So that might be just a thought too.
The other question is, what
And
kind of
whether
workers do we need?
Yeah.
And the residents would be very, I mean, there's some pretty expensive houses, but,
There are?
well, that road goes in, look pretty decent.
They're okay.
Yeah, but they're worried about losing their view. I mean, that's what they're worried
That's
about.
what they're worried about, absolutely. Okay, so then as you head farther south, here's parcels in the city right here. That one right there, 8 acres. On that is a $18 million hotel. So if you do the math, $2.1 million an acre. That's pretty good for the city of Franklin. And you recall pays taxes, right? So this Staybridge Suites is pretty valuable to us. This parcel is 260 apartments. This apartment developer just already worked everything out with DNR, knew about all the wetland issues, all the environmental. There's an old gas station right here.
Yep.
Had everything worked out, access from the DOT, all of it. Came in, whole wrapped around it, bing, bang, boom, done. And no fooling around, just done. That's what we like to, that's the goal. Hopefully at some point we'll get you all clued into how the city does business, and you can help shepherd these people through. It's John's job, but John can't do it for everybody. Go through. It's John's job, but John can't do it for everybody. But that's always been my goal for the Economic Development Commission. You guys are here to speak for the business, cut through the crap, and help them get their buildings done, buildings that we want on the community. So there's that. That's ready to go. Buildings that we want on the community. So there's that. That's ready to go. This is the other developable acreage for Ascension. I will tell you that the 2 presidents prior to the one that's in off now, prior to Ascension owning them, they had development plans for. Prior to Ascension owning them, they had development plans for this campus, which would have added another story or 2 on top of the hospital, added another wing to the hospital, and added 2 more office buildings in the back.
That was Seth.
That was Seth.
Yeah.
It's not happening. Anyway.
Mm-hmm.
All right, now what we're doing today. So, our current business park, our current corporate park, we call this the corporate park. You got to differentiate them, right? You see way over on the left, the blue line and the little pond there, boundary for the park. Goes down there, and then it heads to the west. 2 parcels. See the square? Goes to that. Actually 3 parcels. Sorry, goes to there. And heads south all the way to South County. Aspen, birch, and the southern leg of hickory are concept. Elm exists. It's a 2-lane pile of junk. Hickory is going to get started here in a couple of days. They had the pre-construction meeting 2 weeks ago. There's currently a 200 spec building on the north, starting on the north side of, starts here, 270,000 square foot building sitting right here, right now.
Vanguard's building.
Vanguard's building. Vanguard is talking, the proposed plan was another 200,000 square foot building here with space right in here for 100,000 square foot building. So another 300,000. They're talking now about a potential for, John, instead of 2 buildings, 1 building at like 480,000 square feet for 1 user.
Yeah.
U-line coming our way.
I don't know. So that's exciting stuff, and they're very happy to be here. Hickory Street should be done to about here. And then the plan for next year is to rebuild Elm Road into over here, similar to our current business park with a boulevard signage, that kind of stuff here, a boulevard down to about here, signage, that kind of stuff here, a boulevard down to about here, and then 4 lanes this way.
So what about all those businesses that are there now? I mean, if you're gonna widen them,
We've already got this is the right of way that we need. This one's in court right now, this guy way that we need. This one's in court right now. This guy here wanted double of what he paid for the land, for the whole parcel. He wants us to pay for that little bit of right of way. So we're in court right now. And Milwaukee, if you know anything about Milwaukee County, they can't right now. And Milwaukee, if you know anything about Milwaukee County, they can't come to a judicial decision to save their lives. So anyway, okay. So this parcel is available. It's empty. It's vacant. There's, frankly, a fair amount of interest in this parcel. This is the old FedEx terminal. A fair amount of interest in this parcel. This is the old FedEx terminal.
so one to the south.
This one here.
No,
To
to
the
the
north.
south.
This stuff here.
Just somebody's jumping.
This is Waste Management's repair facility.
Okay.
Schmidt's Ready Mix. Some people consider this an amenity.
Okay.
Schmidt's Ready Mix. Some people consider this an amenity. That's on the border.
Yeah.
This is another FedEx facility, I think. BTL Pallet, Wisconsin Electric Substation. BTL Pallet, Wisconsin Electric Substation. I forgot what this is.
Oh, I see. I was wondering about that substation because it was like
This one here.
that's why there's no issue with the road or. It's just a substation.
Oh, are you trying to cause problems or what,
I
Walker?
used to work for Wind Energies.
Oh, are you trying to cause problems or what,
I
Walker?
used to work for Wind Energies.
Wienergies.
Wind Energies.
Yeah, they're not real happy with
Isn't
me
that-
right now.
Waste management too in that? On the north side of the street? Waste management's there, but don't they have, I thought they had trucks on the north side of the street. Maybe they're just leasing property.
Well, the initial goal when we first studied this and put a TIF district in place in 2004 or 5 was that we would have the money to relocate the power lines that bisect this. There's power lines that run diagonal here. Do that and take out all these businesses. The key to TIF districts, have your plan in place, be ready to implement it the day you decide to do it. Because any delay that you put in kills a district if there's no revenue attached to it. So once 2000 tag, you're losing days and you're losing time to recover that increment. Well, the economy was what it was, and we ended up with a TIF district which we couldn't afford to do anything with. That was TIF 4. We happened to have enough money in TIF 4 hospital, we'll talk about that in a second, that we were able to put sewer and water down Hickory and a lift station here to get the poop up the pipe to here where the sewer is. So there is not utilities here. We'll have to put those in when we get a customer. But next year we're going to have to do Elm Road somehow. Here's the problem with that. Or do something different. My something different is get the county to give us 10 acres. This is all county land. All of this is all county land.
When you say give, are they gonna give or are we gonna buy?
Well, it depends on who you ask.
Okay.
We need to sell them, we need to pay them double the value and give them 2 times the land. They can't do anything with it. They don't have any money to maintain it or develop it, but
They want to swap 2 for 1
No, I
land
got- yeah,
value.
yeah,
Land
right.
value.
John's currently working on a
2 for 1
No, I got- yeah,
land
right.
value.
John's currently working on a proposal for them. What the county,
What is that land right now? Just
nothing,
nothing?
Nothing.
Not even farmland?
no.
It's not being used for anything?
There's a little bit of farmland here.
Really?
It's mostly swamp.
Oh,
Remember, a little bit of farmland here.
really?
It's mostly swamp.
Oh,
Remember,
Oh, I see.
this parcel is developed.
okay.
This is all
Just
cropland.
there.
So, remember that the county gets tax revenue. Remember that the county gets tax revenue from the TIF district once it's defeased. So, if you think properly about it, they're a 1/3 partner in this development with zero skin in the game. My pitch, you guys are going to get revenue, and we're going to calculate out what the revenue is based on using valueless land. You're going to derive X number of millions of dollars annually for the revenue that you will generate from the taxes from a business that we'll be able to put on this parcel and blow not only the cost of the land, but the increment that you would generate if you were able to develop it instead of putting a stormwater pond on there. It's an uphill push, big time. You need support of the county supervisors. Right now, we don't have it. You need the county, but has no political capital to make it happen. So it's an uphill push, but that's the problem we're working on now. So that's just to get Elm Road's water taken care of. Now we got all of these parcels that will all need to deal with their own stormwater management. And this is, there's a lot of interest in this area, regardless of the less than desirable businesses that are there now. This parcel here, once we get the owners to clear it off.
The old golf park.
Yep, it's the old golf park. But we've, I think I've gotten 2 conversations in the last 2 months on this area here. And I've also got conversations, the M7 organization is looking very strongly at all of this for all of their proposals. Because the reality is these are money for a corporate, commercial, industrial development. Contrast what we want to do.
And they said that.
M7?
Yeah. Okay.
And here's the advantage. The Elm interchange. Biggest advantage of that is it doesn't go east. Here's the other thing. Oak Creek's got trouble here, and this is all on the record, but I've said this in public before. Those are 2 nice parcels right there, right? In the Oak Creek side, no sewer, no water. In the Oak Creek side, no sewer, no water. So, okay, so that's where we're at with business parks. So, I want to involve you all more in this. I'm looking more in this. I'm looking for help from you folks. You're talking to people all the time. We got land. This is Saputo. Just so you know. They've got plans in engineering. Just so you know. They've got plans in engineering and building inspection now. They hope to break ground here in another 2 weeks. They've got a water pipe stacked up right here. This is owned by HSA out of Chicago. Great guys. Out of Chicago. Great guys. They've got steel on order. They've got plans. I believe their plans are approved. We're just waiting to do our development agreement with these guys. So this is developed. So this is developed. This is developed. This is developed. We're doing great. This parcel will never get developed. It's being held by the family that owned this. It's their summer party spot. God bless them. They're welcome. God bless them. They're welcome to it. So,
How many acres is that?
$21. By the way, you all have access to this information. This is the property viewer on the city website. It's in the lower right-hand corner of the homepage. It's got a
GPS.
map and a circle. Click on it.
It's all
You can
public,
do-
or-
Oh yeah, it's all public. You can do this, area, length. You know, you can come here and say, how many acres is this? You can measure weird acreages, weird angles. Yeah, and there you go. Station last week with M7. Steve, can you put together 200 acres?
And you found it.
Sure.
Mhm.
This happens to be 280 acres minus the trees. So, yeah.
It's a great overview.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
little history on economic development, though. There was a time, and with you folks, we're coming back, where the Economic Development Commission were the people who were going to make things happen in this city. They didn't take no for an answer. They were astute politically. They worked the Common Council and the mayor really well, and they got the business parks in this city, except for these new ones, were all done. The business parks in this city, except for these new ones, were all done by citizens. The politicians did the two new ones. But, so, you guys can take, whatever guidance you want and be as forceful as you want. John's got a whole bunch of files that I gave him. I don't know if we want to go through them tonight because it's getting late, but there's lots of old history information. There's all of these studies are available. The technical report's on the city website. You might want to just go thumb through it. It's only about 600 pages, but you read what you want to read. So there's that. So
Oh, wait, there's more. As I look down there, I still got current prospects and,
I think the mayor talked about those.
okay, so that counts? Okay.
Yeah.
And then the city entrance redevelopment site?
That
What?
would be the city entrance redevelopment site, talking about further south on Loomis. You wanna cover that, or?
this goes hand in hand with our water issue.
Yep.
Okay. Yes, we can do that. Find out where I'm at in the world here. Okay.
Corner Loomis and 100.
So I mentioned to you, Continental Divide kind of runs like this. We've had people ask bigger parcels of land. I'm sorry. It's up here. I was cutting across the dump. It comes across like this. Asked us if we had a more industrial area that had maybe 80 businesses or 8 more obtrusive silos, as it were, and use a lot of water. Well, we don't have something that accommodates all of those. But this is the area that we can put less desirable. The issue then becomes is how do we get at water? City engineers worked with the Mount Pleasant folks who have a Continental Divide issue as well. They've worked with the state DNR and the state legislature to get get a diversion for Mount Pleasant. City engineer would like us to pursue diversion in advance of any prospect for here. I'm gonna ask him to give you a presentation on that. I always like to give you a presentation on that. I always like to be ahead of this kind of stuff, but I also look at what we have available in terms of land inventory that we have now.
Well, okay, the thought here, I guess, which is if you have water, you can do more. Is that the, yeah, okay. So I guess, which is if you have water, you can do more. Is that the, yeah, okay. So it's an investment.
It's at least $50,000.
Okay.
To start, and that's unbudgeted.
Okay.
So, have a conversation, maybe put it in the budget next year. Can we find 50 grand for economic development next year? Can we find 50 grand for economic development? Maybe, if you decide it was worthwhile.
Is that a solid maybe or a little bitty maybe?
That was, I'm talking out of my hat. I'm the mayor, I can always find some money,
Okay, that's what I always have.
I'm the mayor, I can always find some money,
Okay, that's what I always have.
So that's the Continental Divide issue that we have. Frankly, it would make that whole quadrant available for development for us.
So when you're talking about diversion, what do you mean by that?
So like Waukesha, they're
Right. Talking about diversion, what do you mean by that?
so like Waukesha, they're
Right.
taking, they're putting it back in the river right down off of Oakwood Road.
Right. So where would that water come from and where would the water go? To
It would
Waukesha
be-
and then it comes back?
It would be Lake Michigan freshwater.
Okay.
It
And then it comes back?
would be Lake Michigan freshwater
Okay.
that has to come back to,
The basin.
it has to go back into the basin. We can sell Lake Michigan water, provide a small amount, provided it comes back. There is an opportunity to provide the Muskego water and Muskego sewer service at a huge expense. There's a sewer line. Let me see where I'm at here. Okay, this is Copart right here, right? There's right here. And this is what we're talking about right here. So right here, the sewer and water, Lake Michigan water going back into the basin. But you can't cross lines without having a diversion agreement. So I can't put water over, makes it come back over here as a wastewater.
Okay.
You need a diversion agreement for that. Or you connect here and go that way in the Muskego. I don't know, that's good business for the city, but it's all discussion stuff. But that's what that item is. Suspect that was looking at this parcel. It's actually this parcel and this parcel. We have other opportunities for him in the corporate park based on his needs.
So you're not saying no, just not now.
Just not here.
So the need
Right.
isn't imminent,
Right.
is what I'm saying.
Mhm.
Or the
The
need
problem
may
stems
not be
is the-
imminent.
Person that drew the arbitrary Franklin line
this item.
150 years ago didn't consider
Right.
Where the water was going?
where the water was going.
That's all right.
I'm lost.
The gas station, the one that across the street from the Walgreens.
Oh, different whole issue.
But it is an
Different whole
entrance.
issue. Okay, so let's finish with this one and we can go back to that one. I don't know what we're gonna talk about, but okay, fine. So the need is not some recommendation for the common council? Absolutely.
Right.
Let's back up.
So this is the, no, yeah. It's
Item
the city
7.
entrance redevelopment site. Is that the one? Talking, John?
Right.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Which is the, the Four Eagles restaurant /
Four Angels.
the Four Eagles restaurant /
Four Angels.
Four Angels, Eagles, Angels. Anyhow, where all the guys are parking their trucks these days. right down the road from you.
Drive right by there every day.
Yeah.
Okay, these four corners are, okay, these four corners are what's been studied as area, a different area in the Tickner report, designated as neighborhood shopping
Okay.
and retail.
Okay.
Neighborhood shopping
Okay.
and retail.
Okay.
This is on the southeast corner was where Target, Walmart, Meijer proposed stores.
That's down under
This-
the Loomis there. Yeah, there you go.
Right there.
This,
Mhm.
well, those parcels.
Yeah.
The issue on this particular parcel, this is now owned by Forest, by an investment company in Appleton who owns this and this, which is, they have a concept and proposal to us to skip over this parcel and develop this one, this one, and this one as 230 market rate apartments. They have an idea that should be available for civic use if we pay for it. And actually the parcel,
And maintain it.
what would be a parcel. We're in conversations with them. They're asking for a lot. But I will tell you, given all of that, I've been dealing with them for almost 30 years. They're good people. They're just trying to do a deal. So we're going to listen to them. We're going to treat them fairly. And
Then sell my house and move in.
yeah, absolutely.
That's right.
I got to tell you, everybody heard
I
of
looked
it.
at their plans. It
Yeah.
looked nice.
So that's that. Across the street,
Mhm.
there's several parcels here. There's this one, and then this whole cluster on Highway 100 is owned by John O'Malley. The Hodaks, Steve and his brother passed away, so they're no longer operating the gas station. The restaurant's been gone for years. And so the property is currently vacant. About development of this corner.
Wait, is that because the price is so high or what?
I have no idea.
Okay.
I'm guessing there's
Content-
gas tanks there.
Yeah.
There's contamination.
Yeah.
It'd have to be clean, yeah. We'd have to clean it up.
Yep.
Yeah.
And then there's 9920. Yep.
Yeah.
And then there's 9923, which is the used car lot, also owned by John O'Malley. And I've had no interest in that either. I personally have no interest. Have had no interest. I would like to see all of them redeveloped, but that's going to be a major task. Is that the issue?
Yeah, no, exactly. So I guess that the question is, so as we take a look, and you guys mentioned, for instance, the fact that it, is not a clean site, but on the other hand, they've got the Sendig / gas station kind of things. We've got the Sendig / gas station kind of things.
Is
That would be a better look than we got right now.
10008? Is that a wetland? I was always wondering. I drive by it every day, obviously.
That's owned by John O'Malley.
Okay.
And
There's one even.
it's owned by John O'Malley.
Okay.
And
There's one even south.
for those of you who are interested in how this works, you go here, go to layers, go to environmental features, turn it, close the window,
I didn't realize there was another parcel below it.
So does that, okay. based
So
on
you
this,
see
is those little things that, yeah.
right in here,
Yeah.
all of this, that shows previously mapped,
Yeah.
all of this, that shows previously mapped wetlands. This map is relatively worthless, because if you look here, what all of this stuff is, looks suspiciously like what this is.
Yeah.
So this would all need to be delineated again. but this would all need to be delineated again. But this is the currently mapped wetlands right here.
And the dark spot on the lower right-hand corner,
This one?
that's standing water, isn't it?
Yeah. That we could get into the conversation. That was or something, but whatever. So
Okay.
yeah. So that's that. So that's how you can see that stuff if you're in conversations. So what else you got there?
That works for me. Good enough. Okay. Then the next one was our Business View magazine article.
I'm out.
So, 2 Year Magazine and put an article in there,
Mhm.
and I think you probably all remember that. They came back around, wanted to do a follow-up, and so we'll be doing that. The crux of the matter is that we'll be sending out a letter, and that goes to vendors of the city, asking or offering them the particular article. So that's kind of the long and short of it. We're going to get a couple new photographs of the Vanguard project, and then we can update that. And so the Steves and I'll be sitting in on an interview with these folks next week or the week after. And so we'll be coming out with the follow-up of that article. And the first article was good. It was very complimentary and had a lot of good visuals. I think we only had one advertiser that responded to the letter. So.
And we still got the article. And they still did the article. And we still got the article. And they still did the article with
Right.
only one advertiser.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah. I mean, it's I think it's an eight-page spread, which is what they're talking about this time. So
I'm going to ask you questions, John. I have no expectation that you know the answer. Do we know who the? I'm going to ask you questions, John. I have no expectation that you know the answer. Do we know who the target audience is of this magazine? I never asked when Callie did it. I'm just asking you because you're a target now.
I'm going to say that they have various industrial groups that they send this to, and well, let's see, I could probably even pull it up. But yeah, so I mean they send it to, there's like 840,000 executive level, so it's got to be probably every corporation in the country that they're sending this to.
Site selection, guys.
Right.
No.
No, like I say,
There is one we paid for just before
Say it was-
November-ish, right?
Yeah.
And do you agree?
Yeah, the readership's business development, managing directors, CEOs, so they probably just got lists of, and it's like I say, it's not going to be just industries, it's going to be every business, organized business in the country.
And the cost to us is nothing.
That's
So it's a why
That's the
would we
attraction.
not want to do it? Of course we would, sure.
yeah.
As long as they paint us in a positive light. But there was an ad that we ran. I don't know what happened to that, or results if we got, pitched us and that kind of stuff. Might be something to take a look at, John, if you can find it there. Because I don't know that I never saw results. Did you guys? Just the viewership, or did we get any leads, or did we get anything?
I think we got one communication based on it. It wasn't a lead.
Yeah.
But just so it works and how the elected officials work, we worry about giving our name and vendors the open door for someone we don't know to ask them for money on our behalf for our promotions. It worked. No, we did it. There was no repercussions, so we let it happen again this time. It's not something we like to do. Similarly, we got another request from a company. Can they use us as a referral? Oh, no, you can't. You can list us as a customer, but we're not a referral. So, just so you all know, as you're discussing things, that you're going to hear that from me and probably Mike too.
But a lot of what was done in the first article, they're going to use in the second one because obviously with a rookie here, it'll take longer for
Bunch of
information
stuff,
they're going to look
sure.
for, except for a couple of. But I mean, we do want to have some photos of projects that have come along since then, which the most impressive will be the Vanguard project. So anyways, but this is, if you want to pass it around and take a look at it, that is the that's the article. If you want to pass it around and take a look at it, that's the article that came out last time.
Sorry this is taking so long.
And I can send everybody the link to that.
It was nice. Pretty. Nice. Pretty.
That's all I have on that.
Okay. That's all we've got for an agenda. Anybody else have anything that we should either, touch or go, put on the agenda for next month? We got, we put on the agenda for next month. We got, a number of things to do as it relates to the appreciation dinner. Okay? But other than that,
What was the date that we're gonna have for the next meeting? It's gonna be the third
the third Thursday.
Thursday of each month.
Congratulations. No, where you going?
And nice article, by the
I think
way.
you can do
Oh,
that.
thank you.
Congratulations on that.
Thanks.
Yeah.
We're going to Iceland.
Congratulations, man.
I
Nice.
heard it's beautiful.
On my list. Let us know.
That's why we're going there. It's
Good.
That's amazing. Good for you. Congratulations.
thanks.
Before we leave, I know some of you have met John, but sort of introduce ourselves
Yes,
to John
great.
to let him know who we are, other than just our name tag.
Sure.
Okay.
That's why don't we start with
I will
Barb?
start right here. My name is Barbara Waisner, and I retired from the South Suburban Chamber of Commerce 3 years ago. I was their executive director for 14 years.
Oh, okay.
Previous to that, I was with me as their executive director, and previous to that, in public relations and that sort of thing. Been a resident of Franklin for almost 30 years. So,
Great.
I'm in Mike's district, so Mike.
Okay, and I've been an alderman now, this is going into my 7th year, my third term. I'm retired from 2 careers, one with Harley Davidson where I was their dealer development department, going around the country setting up dealerships, and the other was working for Milwaukee County and doing training and development for staff. So, retired, looked for something else to do and ended up here. Wise, I don't know.
Gotcha. Aaron.
I'm Aaron Capellish. I just moved to Franklin this fall with my fiance. And I was the CEO of the Chamber of Wausau. So development is kind of something that I'm passionate about. And I was talking to Mr. Olson at real estate event, and he said, "I've got the perfect job for you." That's how I ended up here.
Gotcha.
And Aaron had a time.
Yeah.
Aaron and I had
Yep.
a chance to get together. We were at the chamber event here last week.
Mm-hmm.
Jim Lemire, I've been a resident for 8 years in Franklin and will be moving shortly.
If you can get a
Out of
refrigerator,
Mike's district and into somebody else's, huh?
you gotta get a refrigerator first.
Is that what I need?
You can't get them though, that's
Luckily we have ours. I work for Northwestern Mutual here in Franklin.
A big time. Tim?
Tim Walker, I'm the owner of Victor Creek County. Been a resident here, 35 years roughly. Built 2 homes here, had a 30-year career with We Energies where I worked in their supply department, their audit department, and their IT department, and then I had this bright idea of starting my own business. So I opened Victor Creek Accounting and Victor Creek Investment Services. So we're located just south of Highway 100 in Loomis in the Deerwood Park. I don't know if you've heard of Deerwood Orthodox. I don't know if you've heard of Deerwood Orthodox. That's our neighbor.
Deerwood.
That's where we're
Just
located.
that way.
Just like 1 or 2 minutes down the road from here. So and yes, it's called Victor Creek Accounting because they started in my home and I live in Victor Creek subdivision.
Okay, very good.
Cool.
They started in my home and I live in Victor Creek subdivision.
Okay, very good.
Cool.
Mike, you had a...
Yeah, just a different comment, a different thing. If we are seriously going to become autonomous, which is what I think the direction that we're going, which is what I think the direction that we're going to be going. How do we get knowledge of the developers in the area? I'm thinking, could we invite them to their meetings and talk, so they could talk to us about what's happening, so we can get a better understanding of what they're looking for. I know the mayor has done this, and you've done this, or John will be doing some of this. But how do we, as the Economic Development Commission, get involved with that cycle and process? That's what I want to throw out on the table.
I was gonna say, you want me to answer that?
My answer is, I think it's a doggone good idea. What do you think, Mr.
I think it's a great idea too.
Yeah.
Can't be autonomous,
Well, I know,
but you can drive your own boat, right? You can make your own things happen. Again, the business parks were done by the Economic Development Commission, driving the Common Council to do something. So they have to. The good way to do that is, like, Aaron, you're in Car W.
Yeah. Well, I'm in a lot of commercial.
A lot of those, right? You're meeting people and you're talking to them. The first thing you take care of is your business and your family.
Right.
But in the conversation, available land right off the expressway. I heard you were interested in expanding.
Yeah.
It's conversations that you have with your friends and business associates, provided it's appropriate, and only you would know that, right? But that's the best way to do that. Typically, and I have to tell you this, starts, and about the third sentence in, it's, oh, by the way, this is confidential. At which point, sorry, you know. There comes a time where it can't be confidential anymore, but so that's, I mean, I don't know about that.
Well,
That you guys will get involved with.
I kind of see our role becoming more suggestive to the council.
That is your role, yeah.
Yes, and actively doing
Slide the
that.
other one to
I
it.
mean, we haven't been doing that
Right.
for a while.
Just slide it.
But how do we get knowledge of what over the council, say this is what we need? That's what I'm saying, you know, and your conversation's nice, but, you know, where do we as a body, as economic development, get on top of that loop?
My suggestion is that work with John, and John can let you guys know of Car W, which is Commercial Association of Realtors Wisconsin. So that's Commercial Realtors.
There's an app. That's another development group.
NAP, which is the National Industrial NAP, which is the National Industrial.
In office professionals.
It makes no sense, the acronym, but
I mean,
it's the industrial guys.
there's like 8 groups that I belong to that are all towards commercial development.
And we can find money that, and we can find money that you guys can tag along when John goes to these things and represent the city as an economic development commissioner. And I would encourage you, if the city's paying for it, that's what you go as. You go as economic. If the city's paying for it, that's what you go as. You go as the economic development commissioner. And John's your staff at that point.
I staff.
So, and there's a million of them. Callie used to go to these things. She was great for golf outings. But next year in the budget, so the problem is that this commission never wanted to be active. If you want to be active, we'll find you the money to be active.
Yeah.
That's the way it works. As a matter of fact, I didn't tell you this. The first director of economic development was Stan Kuzmatka. Great guy. He was retired and came here. Economic Development Commission paid him, not the city of Franklin. He worked for, at the time, me, the chairman of Economic Development, not the mayor. Economic Development Commission did all kinds of things that when you work for your budget, you get a budget. Right, Mike?
Do we have a budget right now?
I was gonna say.
John's got money.
Oh.
Not a lot.
That's good to know.
Not a lot, but
Because we work for the city.
no, John has a budget. We'll get you a copy of the budget. Sure.
Okay.
But everybody knows that I'm the mayor, but nobody knows what I did for a living.
I do.
Did you do research?
Oh, you talked to me, Mike.
But I thought maybe that might help people understand from whence I come. Spent 43 years in the video, television, broadcasting industry. My job, really weird, complex technological devices and systems to people with money so I could get their money into my pocket. I was a sales guy for 43 years. I worked for what's called systems integrators, and I worked for equipment manufacturers about 20 years in one and 20 years various in others. But some of the things I've done, I designed and sold and installed the scoreboard system 3 times at the Bradley Center. All the video and all the scoreboard. Did the same for Miller Park scoreboard. All the video behind it, my design, and I sold it and had it installed. I did Lambeau Field upgrades once. Did all the technology in most of Marquette's classrooms over the last 15 years. Most of Marquette's classrooms over the last 15 years was me. So the new law school went up. They just said, "Here's your contract," and I put in all the technology, always the latest technology. So that's what I did for years and years. So brought the latest technology. So that's what I did for years and years. So broadcast stations, I built broadcast stations all over the country, that kind of thing. So I'm a technology kind of guy. But how to win friends and influence people.
There you go. All right. So,
Always asking for the order.
well, there you go. Exactly. So my, all right. So,
Always asking for the order.
well, there you go. Exactly. So my background, I'm CEO of Dale Carnegie Training for Wisconsin and the Upper Peninsula, Michigan. Prior to being here, I was the president of General Motors Trademark Licensing Agency, which meant we represented them in all the other things like the hats, cars. Business, while I was there, grew from about $900,000 to $5.7 billion in revenue for them. How I got into Dale Carnegie is I also looked to find other customers, and I knocked on their door and found something. I said, well, everything that they've been, what they talk about, I've been teaching it came up, I bought it. So that's how I got into that. Prior to that, I was president of Riddell Sports, the guys who do all the helmets and shoulder pads and all those various different things. So for the Packers and the Badgers, but near and dear to my heart is Northwestern Wildcats. So that's a little bit about my background. Starters, Procter & Gamble, Pepsi-Cola, and been here in Franklin since 2008. So pleasure to be part of it. And good to have you guys all part of this group. And John, welcome. Good to have you here. So thank you very much. Anything else before we, yeah.
I looked at last month's minutes, and it mentioned, thinking about how to work with multi-view and also trade industries, readership or investor extension program, but I've got to figure out what that is first. But with multi-view, there was a note that you folks wanted the multi-view reports, and so that's one of them. It's a 12-page document, and I can send that out to you electronically if you want.
Sure.
I can send it to you, and I can send that out to you electronically if you want.
Sure.
I can send it to you as I get them. No problem. Take
This
a
is the
look at
thing
them.
we contracted for, right?
Right.
Yeah, okay, yeah.
Right. Well,
Okay.
multi-view is, it's an internet based, social media, social media advertising platform. What you're seeing there is they're monitoring our website and tracking folks that pull it up. And they feel it's kind of a representation of and they feel it's kind of a representation of people that see their advertising or their networking and the social media. I mean, as you look at that, you will realize that some of those folks aren't responding to a social media advertisement or networking or pop-up. There are people that do businesses routinely with the city or do businesses with this one, like Northwestern Mutual. You see a lot of access to the city's website in there.
And really, all it is Jim
That
looking
was
for
me.
the agenda.
That was me.
I would urge you all.
All right.
I would urge you all to get the emailed copy of this for a couple of weeks and really decide, is there a value to it? Because really, all they're doing is tracking IP addresses.
Yeah, and it's the value that they promote is actually not this. This is just a representation of
But we're
what some of the
paying-
response is.
$20,000 for this or something.
Yeah.
Big
Yes.
bucks.
Budget item is. I don't know if it's that much. But
And it's your money. It's it's coming out of economic development budget. But I would urge you to think carefully about it.
I spent, I don't know, half an hour looking through the electronic copy, and I was struggling to find insights from it, but you guys with a lot more experience might look at it and go, well, there might have been a lead
of companies that maybe
worth of
in each one. But the thing is there is no connection. There's no way to unless we do the research. There's no way to identify who it was
Yeah.
that pulled it up.
Can we do that through Zoom info?
Well, again, through those databases would be better or Hoover's, but that's research you would have to do yourself.
Right, yourself, right.
And-
But there were some that kind of kept coming out more often than others.
Mhm.
So, yeah. But
Yeah,
okay, but,
if it looked like something based on the pages they pulled up,
Right.
where they're pulling up the economic development department.
And there did seem like there were a couple of those.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I didn't know what else to do with it than that.
Yeah. There
So,
were a lot of permanent locations too, and I
Exactly.
wondered about that.
so one of the things that we might consider is, because I do think they gave us a pitch as to what all we could do with it.
Mhm.
I don't know, I kind of like to maybe know again, so if this guy hits, what can we do with it?
Mhm.
Might be something before we just can it.
Yeah,
You know?
when I ask activity
Oh.
that you're getting on your website.
But if it hits certain sites, maybe are there
Yeah.
alerts so that we can set up, and certain people hit certain sites, maybe it becomes a lead. I mean, I don't know what we can do with it. To your point.
Well, I see it. For instance, if I see somebody's hitting the economic development page, then I know, not necessarily.
Okay.
That's a different different set of services the city provides. But if they go to the economic development page, then you would assume that they're looking for those kinds of points of interest. So, anyways, I'll send that to you if that's what you were thinking.
Okay.
Okay.
I don't know that you need or want me anymore. So unless you tell me you want me here, I'm gonna let the bosses do their thing.
So is this your way of saying this is your swan song? Do you want to give us something emotional before you leave?
Well, unless you guys tell me no, we want you here. You guys are all.
Please
That's the polite way of saying get the hell out of here and don't come back.
Well, would you all agree? That was pretty doggone good.
It's great.
Update, yeah, it really
I
was.
mean, it's,
I thought that was
you don't
excellent.
know.
No,
I was happy to do it, and I'm happy to continue to do it. But
You might want to hang around for a couple more.
yeah, I'd invite you. I mean, if you guys are good for at least 2 more. Yeah, I might. All right, that said, anybody want a motion for adjournment?
So, second.
Second, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?